This podcast is brought to you by your neighborhood plumber, Connolly Plumbing Solutions. Next time you need a plumber, call Connolly Plumbing Solutions at 913-768-7676 or visit ConnollyPlumbingSolutions.com.
Welcome back to the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jake, Colin Morikawa playing in his first Open Championship.
Hell of a day he had this morning.
Yeah.
Challenging a big time.
Never played any kind of links golf prior to last week. Holds the early second round lead at Royal St. George's.
Was she 64 today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was challenging. I think 62 is the best score at any Open. 64 is the best score in an opening round, and that's what Louis
Oosthuizen.
Yeah, that's what he shot yesterday.
Oosthuizen.
10th player to do that, and the other 9 gentlemen to shoot 64 in the opening round. All 9 have won the tournament.
You know, I love the Masters, and obviously the U.S. Open is great to watch, but the Open is nice because it's on in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, by noon or 1 o'clock, it's kind of worked its way through. And it's kind of nice to get up at, early risers.
Right, absolutely. But also growing up as a kid, right? Like, we all rooted for Tom Watson.
Yeah.
And he had the most success in the British Open. So when I was a kid, we'd always wake up early to watch Tom Watson. So it just naturally has become my favorite tournament to watch. But, to your point, I love it because, you're at 9 o'clock in the morning and they're mid-rounds and the good guys are going, not
Jordan Spieth's 2 shots back.
I like him this weekend. He's playing really well.
So when I was playing in the NFL, I've always been a huge golf fan, loved to play golf, and always watched the majors. So I would kind of set my schedule, kind of like putting the old spider senses up because of majors. So when the Masters was coming around, it was time to kind of get back into working out and get back over to the facility and OTAs were just about to come up. And so, that would be kind of, okay, the Masters is here. It's time to kind of get back into football. And then the U.S. Open would roll around, and that would be usually right around mini camp or maybe just after mini camp. So I knew that, U.S. Open was like in the middle of the summer. It was kind of getting ready. Off season was kind of getting towards an end here. And then when the Open started, usually that's when we went to training camp. It was right around, right after. And there was a couple of times when I left to go to training camp on the Sunday of the Open. So it was like, okay, here we go. The British Open is here, or they call it the Open now. We were leaving for training camp, and then the PGA, and I didn't even pay attention because it was kind of, right in the middle of just about the season starting or the season.
I'm glad they moved that tournament up.
Me too.
It makes a lot more sense.
It does.
But
absolutely does. So
you kind of gauged your
my calendar.
Your off season was gauged by golf majors.
Yeah, it really was.
That's cool.
So we, right now, watching the Open, I still get this like little bit of a sickening feeling in my stomach because that was kind of like the setup for camp.
It's about to hit me.
Camp was horrible back in the day.
Way
you had
man.
6 weeks of 2-a-days.
Dude, it's brutal. So I went to school at Western Illinois, and that's in Macomb, Illinois. And my freshman and sophomore and junior year, that's where the Rams training camp would be. And that's Vermeil. And so we practiced, like I could have punted a soccer ball over to where the Rams were practicing.
You ever do that?
No,
not
I didn't.
on purpose.
No,
They were giving you a look though. Hey.
Well, I mean, they had our school would build really nice. Like we had nice facilities to keep the Rams in. They lost them my senior year, but because they just went back to St. Louis because for whatever reason. But their practices because we would be in there for our preseason, and our preseason was brutal. But it's like we would go out to practice, and the Rams were practicing. Because we had 3-a-days, and because we'd have fitness in the morning, and then we'd have 2 training sessions. And it's like no matter when we were out there, you could Vermeil had this microphone on a box, and you could hear Vermeil talk and they went through special teams over and over and over again.
Oh.
I mean, their practices looked absolutely brutal.
And that was pretty much the old school, the way Marty did it too.
I mean, that was So I was there 98, 99, and 2000.
I mean, I'm not to ever say, I mean, because this is going to sound horrible, but we would fly to Minneapolis. It'd be like, okay, if there's ever going to be any kind of incident with a plane, this is when, don't have it on the way back. You know what? It'd be like, oh my gosh, we're flying into this like just horrible. I mean, and it was, guys, I can't tell you how hard training camp used to be. I mean, it was back, first of all, in William Jewell, it was 6 weeks of 2-a-days. I mean, and they were full pads. I think Keith said it yesterday. I think at one point we had 20 full pad practices in a row.
What about River Falls?
Well, then River Falls was hard too. And towards the end of
did the weather change? Did the change in the climate help at all?
It was supposed to. I mean, every once in a while you'd have a nice cool day, but what happened at River Falls, it would like rain in the afternoon.
The humidity was terrible.
Humidity would just kill you.
I remember there was
and the mosquitoes were horrible.
This is a terrible, terrible, terrible memory. One of the worst memories. Of being.
There's no good memories about training camp.
No, but it was a tragic memory when we were up there. When Corey Stringer, the offensive lineman, passed away,
Minnesota,
and they were just 50 miles away from me. I think in Mankato.
Yeah,
but I'll never forget because I was out there, and I was doing Whitlock's show, and we were out there on the field, and we had 8-10 shirts and shorts, and just standing out there was almost unbearable. And I remember just like, I can't believe that they're out there, working their asses off in this heat. And we were all commenting on it, and everyone was even saying it's never this hot.
Yeah.
And so then we go home.
It was.
Or we go back to the hotel. And we were watching ESPN, and that's when we got the news about Corey Stringer, and that was just like 50 miles away. But you're right. So my point is, up there, they went up there to get relief from the weather, and it used to get brutal up there.
Yeah, every once in a while you'd have a nice cool day, and like, wow, this is why we come up here. But most of the time, it just didn't work out. It was always hot. Let me just give you guys just a schedule of a normal, everyday training camp back when training camp was training camp. You'd wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You'd have breakfast at 7 o'clock. You'd have your first meeting at 7:30. You'd be on the field by 8:30.
What would you eat? Would you like eat? Would you eat like? Would you not want to eat very much?
No.
Because you want to get sick? Would you load up? Like, what would you eat?
I would eat. No, I would have like maybe just a little bit of cereal or something. Nothing. I mean,
you didn't want to have
eggs and bacon. There's no way.
Okay, you didn't want nothing. Okay, just checking. All right.
So, you'd be on the field at 8:30 for walk through, 9 o'clock till 11:30, quarter to 12 was practice. It was a good 2.5 hour full pad practice. And then you would rush over to try and get something to eat.
You don't want to go out there with a couple of waffles in your stomach, maybe some eggs?
No, we didn't want it. You don't want any of that. So you'd practice until about 11:30, quarter to 12, depending on what kind of mood Marty was in. And then after practice, you'd have workout. You'd have a workout. So the offensive defensive line would work out either after the morning practice or after the afternoon practice, and both were brutal. It wasn't like, oh man, thank God we're practicing after the morning practice, because then in the afternoon you had to practice workout. It was horrible too.
Let's say Marty was in a bad mood.
Marty's in a bad mood. You practice about 12:30 in that heat. It'd be a good 3-hour practice if he wanted to start some periods over, or we weren't just getting things done the way he wanted it done. And then lunch would start at 1 o'clock, and you'd have lunch from 1 to 2, and then practice would kick back in. You'd have a meeting at usually 3 or 3:30. Can't remember exactly what it was. And then you'd be back on the field at 4, and you'd practice to about 6:30, and then you'd come back, you'd shower, you'd have dinner, and then you'd go to meetings from like 7:30 till 10. And you did that every day.
And then what time would you get to
6 weeks? It was Groundhog Day. Bozeman would usually, you'd find a little bit of time after the meetings from like 10 to 10:30, quarter to 11, and the lights out, and room checks were at 11 o'clock.
Who was the guy that would get everyone to get, hey, we're going to Bozeman? Who was the
Bill Moss?
Bill Moss leading the charge over there.
But when Joe was there, he would have a pizza and a 6-pack of beer or Gatorade, if that's what you wanted, in front of your door after every practice.
From Steve's
after
Pizza?
every meeting. Yeah,
Steve's was downtown. That was delicious.
Steve's Pizza.
Yeah.
Yep. So
shockingly, I remember all the places to eat in River Falls. So.
Yep. So you would you'd come back to your room and there'd be a 6-pack of beer, or if you weren't a drinker, you had some Gatorade or soda or whatever, and it'd be sitting in there, and you'd have pizza and a beer.
That's how you take care of your offensive line.
He did. He really did.
Steven, it's Renee at the Copper Kettle. We'll see you next week.
Copper Kettle.
I was a big fan of the Copper Kettle. I had Renee from the Copper Kettle doing liners for me, getting up there. And the Copper Kettle was right there across from the field.
I remember.
So they had the West Wind, which is if you wanted a steak or maybe a salad bar. Mm-hmm. The Copper Kettle. Now, Copper Kettle was like it was a bar.
Cheese curds there.
The cheese curds were the number one thing to get there. But that was like if you wanted maybe like, I don't know, like good hearty home cooked meal at the Copper Kettle. And big mugs of beer, and Renee, happy that you're there.
Good German restaurant.
Yeah, so it was just good. They had an outdoor patio you could sit at. That was very good. You had Steve's Pizza. It was really good pizza. Yep. Bows and Mine, where sometimes people get thrown through the window there, which is, that's a whole different story. How about Andre Rison? Where did he like to go? Bows and Mine?
He was a Bows and Mine
guy. You mean
right?
Brock Middlebrook?
Yeah,
Brock
whatever.
Middlebrook
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was.
But, training camp now, I'm glad it's up in St. Joe because now, people could take their kids and like shoot up there for an afternoon practice and watch. Coach John Holmes, my old buddy,
right.
Coach John Holmes, his family actually would go on vacation to River Falls to watch practice.
Are you ever compelled to go back to River Falls before you're?
I will not.
No,
I will never be there again.
Just a quick look.
They built the bypass around while we were there. So in the 10 years that I went to practice. So it used to be where everybody kind of poured through downtown because that was the way that you would get to whatever you had to get to in that area, which, hell, I don't even know what they are anymore, Hudson or whatever it was.
That was a big night. You go over to Hudson. Hey, we're going to Hudson tonight. Let's go.
Along the river.
Over there and enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. But it was really, really a rough deal, and I'm kind of glad and kind of sad that they changed the rules for training camp. But you always have it. Back when I used to play,
right.
we would have 2-3 hour practices every day, and it was brutal. It was really
You
tough.
were bar hopping with Bill Moss and Andre Rison. I bar hopped one time with Danny Klingscale and Ivan Carter. That was and we went to some places that I can't talk about on the air.
Yeah, I walked home from Bows and Mine one time on a night off, and I found myself in a river or something. I was walking through a river, and I said, "This can't be the right way."
It was, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
I was heading a little bit too far north at that point. I had to get back south. When you got to the river, you were too far north.
I used to like when Carl Peterson was on his bicycle all around.
There was one training camp where it was weird because you weren't sure which Marty was showing up to training camp. Whether it was a serious nose to the grindstone Marty, or the one that was dancing with you at Bows and Mine, and hanging out.
You like that Marty better?
I wasn't sure which one I liked better.
Whoa.
Because when Marty was out, then he would kind of know what you were doing, and I didn't want him to know what we were doing on our nights off.
He was checking up on you.
Yeah, he'd be out. He'd be, doing his thing. But, there was different Martys. And then there was years when Marty and Carl wouldn't talk. And those were different years, too, when for some reason they didn't like each other. Some years, one year they'd be like, Marty would be on one side of the field and Carl would be on the other side of the field. And then the next year, they'd be like hugging and standing right next to each other. And it was just weird. It was a weird dynamic. After 11 years, you go through every gamut, every relationship issue, everything that you can ever imagine. But it was a great time with the Chiefs in the 90s. And, we won a lot of football games. But training camp was rough.
How was training camp with Gunther?
My favorite Gunther Cunningham stories. Gunther was tough in training camp. You can imagine. But Gunther had this rule: no taking your helmets off, and no sitting on pads kneeling on pads or whatever. And I'll never forget. This went for the media too. So it was like after a practice or something, and one of the media members was sitting down on. You know what I'm talking about?
You get yelled at,
and he screamed, "Hey, you! Get up!" And it was Len Dawson. And Lenny jumped up, and he's like, Lenny, you can sit down, Lenny." He goes, "No, Coach, I'm not going to listen to him." No, Lenny, go ahead, sit down. He screamed at Lenny Dawson. I'll never forget that. God bless him.
I can't remember. Andy's like that too. Like if you were in the pit,
no leaning.
Who remember? I can't remember who it was, but somebody was leaning up against the fence.
The fence, yeah.
And,
the brick
and this
wall
was
on the
this was
field.
like one of Andy's first years,
first
right?
Or second year.
Who was it?
OTA.
I can't remember who it was. They got aired out, and they didn't know because they, hey, about leaning up against. He didn't want anyone leaning up against the fence or whatever.
Why not?
And we can't help it, but we're laughing because of the person getting aired out. But I don't, and you'll remember this. Obviously,
I'm trying to think who it was.
I remember. Chester McLaughlin would sit on his helmet, and he got yelled. He just didn't.
Chester,
he didn't respond though.
For him to get up, it was a lot of effort off of his helmet. So he would just take it and go, "Come on, Gunny." Gotta sit down. But Derek too. Derek was always a helmet sitter.
Right.
He got yelled at too. But that was just part of it. That was part of the training camp, part of the discipline, part of the little things that you had to do in order to have success. Now, little things like having your helmet on the sideline, or not sitting on your helmet, not kneeling down, doing the according to Marty, and especially according to Gunther. Those are little things. If you weren't doing the little things right off the field, then you weren't doing the little things right on the field.
That's right.
We're doing the things right off the field and on the field. If I tell you to park here, you're parking here.
Did
And
you
I'll
do
be
that?
damned if I'm going to let anybody see me play.
Did you do that when you were head coach at Miege? If you saw a kid sit on the helmet?
Oh, there was no sitting on helmets. No way.
What about leaning up against the wall or the fence or something?
You know what? When I came back after my stint at KU, Ryan Willis, I know he's probably out there listening. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? He had a great year, by the way, in that spring football. He was sitting on a water jug.
I bet you didn't like that.
Oh, I got all over him. And Coach Holmes wasn't too happy with me because I was yelling at, but I just couldn't stand
yelling
that.
at the quarterback.
Yeah, hey, get off that. And he's like, well, so. But the funny thing about it is that Gunther would have been I think a really, really good head coach. He just could not delegate. I mean, he would sit until 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning figuring out seating charts for where guys are going to sit on the plane. He would figure out where guys were going to park during home games. I mean, everybody had a spot, and you had a card, and this is where you're supposed. And it was all these things that just really didn't mean much, but he was just such a stickler. The guy grew up in Munich, okay, basically until he was about 8 or 9 years old. And he came over and came from Munich with his father was a serviceman, and his mother was a German gal, and, he didn't speak any English. So this is after World War II. So can you imagine being a kid coming over here from Germany after World War II, couldn't speak English, and boy, he had was teased and ridiculed and everything else. So his voice was football. He blended in this country by playing the sport of football, and he was a tough ass football player, and that was how he got his voice. So he really respected and loved the game and thought that, listen, this game needs to be respected and this game needs to be done right, and we're going to do all the little things right, and he just could not delegate. But I loved Gunther. By the way, Alex Gibbs, who was my offensive line coach, just passed away at 80. I lost 2 offensive line coaches here in the last year with Howard Mudd. Howard Mudd taught me more about fundamentals and technique than any coach could teach you, and Alex Gibbs taught me the game and how to understand the game and to read defenses and understand what defensive coordinators are trying to do.
The architect of the Denver rushing attack when he was there, right?
He was the best. He might have been the smartest offensive line coach I've ever been around. He understood schemes. I mean, just little shades and little tendencies that he would teach you. And you'd get up there and you'd be like, okay, Alex told us if this Mike linebacker is just over the outside eye of the guard, then he's going to blitz. And by golly, he blitzed. I mean, the guy was just really smart and taught, and it really helped my career and extended my career because the older you get, the faster those guys get and the slower you get. But if you know where they're going to go and how they're going to get there and what they're trying to do through schemes, then you got half a chance. And he taught me that. And he really and truly, he is the one, and I think Will Shields would admit this, he's the one who made Will Shields a Hall of Famer. And, Art Shell, I think, had a lot to do with that. With him and Art, we had a really good relationship. But Alex Gibbs was an unbelievable coach. And when he went to Denver, it broke our hearts. I loved him.
And so I hate to bring this up, but I need to. So he was with the Chiefs in 93 and 94.
Right.
And anyone that played for him they say the same things, like what you were saying.
Yeah.
He goes to Denver to become assistant head coach, offensive line coach, 95 to 2003, and obviously we know what happened when he was there.
Yeah.
And their unbelievable running attack and their offensive line. What happened?
I don't know. I don't know if him and Marty had a fallout. I really never knew why he left. I think
Because that was a big deal.
it was a big deal. And I will tell you this. Alex was unbelievable at, like, Vaseline and, like, taping jerseys down.
Because they have all that silicone stuff all over their jerseys.
Oh, we did it too. We did it too.
Yeah, but Denver cheats.
And the reason,
come on.
the reason why we called Denver out is because we knew they did it because he did it to us.
You know, yeah.
And we're like, hey, check their jerseys. And
how much did they put on? Was it bad? Like when you're going up?
Oh, he would walk up to you with a handful of Vaseline and rub it on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And, hey,
Jake does that to me sometimes before a show. I love it.
Hey.
So, right.
At least it's not anywhere else.
So what was it? Was Vaseline? He'd take you and it would.
Yeah, or silicone spray.
Was that the first coach that did that with the silicone spray and everything
absolutely.
else? Like when he first goes up to you and to do that, we're like, what are you like?
I thought it was cool. I was
You liked it?
yes. Yeah, whatever.
Was it effective?
Like Marty would say, you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, I like that.
But no.
So would all the defensive players complain about
That's
you guys
what I was
then?
gonna say.
I'll never
Did they
forget.
bitch at you?
So, oh yeah, they knew. I mean, especially when you started to sweat, it got even slicker. So,
yeah.
but the best deal ever was that when Howie Long chased Alex Gibbs up the tunnel at the Coliseum, or maybe it was the Coliseum in Oakland because we were cut blocking. And he wasn't mad at us. He was mad at Alex. He knew Alex was teaching us, hey, listen, I want you, hey, you that guy on the backside, if Howie Long, he's going to you cut his ass down. You cut him down. You get your head on his inside leg, and you cut him down. And, boy, Howie was so mad. I think Howie was in his last year or two of the league, and he was all sore and beat up and old. And he just chased Alex up and Alex like, hey, get away from me, Howie. Get away from me, Howie. I'm teaching the guys the way I teach my guys. That's the way I teach my guys. It was great stuff. So, and then we lost Gunther and lost Marty. A lot of great coaches from Kansas City in the 90s that have passed away. But, boy, some great stories. I think somebody should write a book about that.
But we're glad to have somebody should get together with David Smale. And
Yeah,
write a
somebody
book.
should write a book about all the great stories of the 90s.
Someone should contact me about an event up in St. Joe while I'm going to be up there to promote a book. Do you want to talk about this damn Tom Brady story when we come back, or do you want me to ignore it?
Which one?
About the injury he played through, apparently?
Oh, with his torn...
I don't know.
Nah.
Jake, do you want to hear it? Or I want you to refute it.
I
feel like if I read it, then Jake will claim he's
Well,
lying.
I mean, he
and then
was
I'll
wearing a knee brace for the parade.
That's fine. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll see if this irritates Jake on Sports Radio 810
It's irritating
WHB.
me already.
Right. Welcome back to the Border Patrol on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm texting feverishly with Phil St. John.
Coach Holmes just texted me. It was great. I think he got like Marcus Allen or somebody's autograph on a hat, and then he got like Trevor Cobb. And he's like, yeah, ruined it. Just ruined the whole hat. That hat probably would have been worth, a couple $100 right now. And it's like Marcus Allen and then Trevor Cobb. And remember that there's always one Camp Darling.
I remember Trevor Cobb.
Trevor Cobb was the Camp Darling that year. He was busting off all these long runs.
I don't know if it was XO or Coliseum, but I went to I don't know what I'm talking about. Went clubbing with Trevor Cobb one time. We had mutual friends, and I don't.
Clubbing?
I should end the story. Names don't need to be mentioned. That's
Names that don't need to be mentioned. But yeah, so every year you think about, okay, well, who is going to be the Camp?
He played at Rice.
Yeah, who's going to be the Camp Darling this year? And it's the Camp Darling's got to be somebody that nobody knows or they're like all of a sudden out of nowhere, all of a sudden somebody will show.
We be clubbing.
It could be Callaway, the wide receiver.
Antonio Callaway.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my Camp Darling.
Sleeper.
The sleeper.
You know my Camp Darling is?
Who?
Patrick Mahomes II.
Oh, he's going to be good.
I'm going to read you the story and tell me if it's crap.
It's crap.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady played the entirety of last season with a torn MCL. Do you believe that? Yes or no?
Well, I mean, it was a torn, wrapped up torn, or was it just shredded, or an MCL too? And
yeah.
I'm not playing a doctor here on the radio.
You should.
But I think MCLs, you can actually function without
absolutely
MCLs.
you can.
I played a whole season without an ACL, and I didn't even know it. How about that?
Well,
I didn't even know it.
Actual stability. I mean, MCL is just painful.
I had no ACL, and I did not know it.
I've torn my MCL 3 different times.
He said he played torn medial collateral ligament in his left knee, according to the Tampa Bay Times. Brady suffered the injury in his final season with the Patriots. It gradually worsened during the first year in Tampa. He was not listed on the injury report all season, underwent surgery to repair the knee in late February after the Super Bowl. He has not discussed specifics about the surgery, saying only it was pretty serious.
Yeah, well, what ended up happening, it started causing meniscus damage. That's where the pain came in, and that's what they actually, when they did the surgery, that's what they actually went in. I'm willing to bet, like, because you rehab the MCL, but I ended up ripping my meniscus.
All right, so I went in for an MRI on my left knee about 3 or 4 years after I got done playing, and I went to a doctor that was not part of the organization. I rip in she's organization, just wasn't part of the organization. He says, "Hey, so when did you have ACL surgery?" I said, "I never had ACL surgery." "Well, you don't have one."
Ah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay." So really, my last year, I mean, I used to get these. I'm gonna don't market tape jobs, all right. That would be like these big X's and like all the way up and down, up and down, up and down, all the way around. And then I put my knee brace on and then wrap the knee brace on. But the tape jobs that were from this elastic tape were done to keep my leg stable.
Right.
Because I didn't have an ACL, but I didn't know that. So.
Yeah, your ACL keeps it intact. I mean, it keeps your knees from giving out.
And then I wondered why I had to have knee replacement at 45 years old. Yeah. My knee just collapsed on each other because I didn't have an ACL. So
I had one of the best orthopedics in the country, who's now the Chiefs orthopedic. So
there you go.
Who's that?
Dr. Chris Barnthouse.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Chris, yeah, sure.
Okay, here's an article I wanted to ask you about. It from Seth Walder, ESPN Analytics, and he projects the NFL's best and worst pass-protecting offensive lines, ranking pass block win rates for 2021. And so what they did, they've developed pass block win rate to measure how often individual players and teams sustain their pass blocks for at least 2.5 seconds, using player tracking data from NFL Next Gen Stats. Does that interest you? Is that something that sounds relevant to you? Or does that...
Yeah.
Not so much?
Well, I mean, next gen, blah, 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 blah. But go ahead. Yeah, I want to hear this.
And so it says, to achieve this, we use the ratings. We use a regression model that considers every projected starter's individual pass block win rate over the past 2 seasons. Players who did not play in either or both seasons, including rookies, were assigned a below average
that's
rate.
Not gonna be
I don't like that either. And anyone who failed to meet the qualifying threshold had their win rate regress toward the below average target.
So the Chiefs are not going to be high in this.
Well, okay, so who do you think is the best pass blocking offensive line in football?
Indianapolis.
They are ranked number 9.
Really? Let's see.
Playoff team AFC.
Playoff team AFC.
Chiefs played them. That's it.
That Cleveland?
Cleveland.
All right, I'll give you that.
Jedrick Wills Jr., Joel Bitonio, J.C. Treader, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin.
Mm-hmm. Tampa's got to be pretty close up there.
Green Bay is number 2. Arizona's number 3. Seattle's 4. Buffalo's 5. Kansas City is 6. But they project the offensive line to be Orlando Brown, Joe Thuney, Austin Blythe, which is wrong, LDT, who knows, Mike Remmers, probably.
Okay, well, see, now if it's the guys that we think like are probably going to be starters, if I'd put money on it, I think Remmers is going to be the initial starter, and I think Niang is going to work his way
eventually.
I think that LDT may it'll be between LDT and Wiley, with Trey Smith being a guy that he may work his way into. I think that, and I'm drawing a blank on his name now, the young kid from Oklahoma.
Right.
I think he'll start, and then Thuney and Orlando Brown will start. So I think That'll be where it's at. I don't think the Chiefs want to go in with 3 rookies starting in the first 7 games or first 8 games of the season when that's really the hardest part of their schedule. So I think the Chiefs are going to have to look at it and say, okay, listen, what do we want to do here? Do we want to get some guys that understand the speed of the game, the intensity of the game? They understand our scheme. They understand our plays. They understand what we're trying to get done. Or do we want to go with some younger guys that may be a little bit better or more athletic or, more powerful?
But you can kind of do both. Okay, so I think Creed Humphrey's going to start at center.
I do too.
And then I think, LDT and Remmers, but then I think eventually there's a good chance by the end of the season we could see Trey Smith and Lucas Niang. At least one of them, and maybe both.
And you know what? And it might even get to the point where, and this is another thing. So there's a couple different things I think the Chiefs are going to look at when they decide who's going to be on the offensive line. Number one, it's going to be experience. You don't want to really go into a season with 3 rookies in there on one side. I mean, that just would not be a good thing. But you want those rookies to be ready to go in, and they may get some time. And with injuries, guys are going to get hurt. It's just the nature of the beast. The other thing is, what do the Chiefs want to do this year? And that'll be kind of forecasted by some of the stuff they do in training camp / preseason game / first 4 games, first quarter of the season. I think the Chiefs this year are going to have a little bit heavier run tendency. And I think they're going to do that for a couple reasons. Number one, they've got to get these defenses out of some of the stuff they're doing against the passing game where, they're putting Patrick Mahomes in a spot where they're taking away his first and second read, and he's got to get to his third read. And by the time he gets to his third read with the protection the way it was, he was getting banged around. So I think that in the red zone, remember, when you're in the red zone, let's say from the 20-yard line in, even especially from the 15 or 10-yard line in, the best defender is what? The best defender is the end line. They take away so much space. So, I mean, you could take away a lot of the stuff the Chiefs want to do in the passing game just with that end line. And if you can run the ball a little bit more efficiently, then, teams can't do some of the stuff they did last year against the Chiefs. I think you're going to see that. And if they do that, then you got Niang is a big, powerful guy. You got Trey Smith's a big, powerful guy. And, I think that those 2 guys may have an opportunity to play if they decide, hey, listen, we want to go with a little bit more run-orientated offense.
All right, so what they wrote about the Chiefs' offensive line. Kansas City's remade offensive line, we project the Chiefs to have 4 new starters, should protect Patrick Mahomes well beyond what the individual ranks above might suggest. In 2019, Tooney and Duvernay Tardif ranked 2nd and 21st among guards in pass block win rate, while Brown ranked 6th among tackles. The model considers performance in each of the past 2 seasons, so that's a reason for optimism that's factored in. And so when looking at like you said, some of the rankings, like LDT didn't play last year, Remmers was 10th.
I thought Remmers had
right tackle. He was all right.
Remmers took it on the chin this year in the Super Bowl. It's as simple as that. I mean,
that's not his position. He don't need to be a left tackle.
But he did. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, people when they remember him right now, I mean, you're only remembered or you're only good as your last game in the NFL. It's just a fact. And if you'd ask him, he'd say, "Listen, I was out in that position. I was out of position. Probably could have played better. Wish I could have played better." But it is what it is, and I'm going to have to work my way back up and get my confidence and the confidence of the guys around me and the confidence of fans back. And he can do it. I got no issues with that.
Hey, Jake, I got to mention something again because there's not a whole lot of time for people to sign up. This is incredible. Monday is National Get Out of the Doghouse Day, and to celebrate, the Nicholas Golf Club at Lionsgate is offering an incredible deal for 810 listeners only, just for 810 listeners, this Monday, July 19th. So Monday, you got a couple of days. You can play the Nicholas Golf Club at Lionsgate and receive lunch, all for only $75. That's right. For just $75, you'll get lunch and play 18 holes at the fabulous Nicholas Golf Club. Lunch will take place at 11 a.m., followed by shotgun start at noon. So call now, 913-402-1001 to get this incredible deal. But hurry, because spots won't last long. 913-402-1001. That's 913-402-1001. You guys have both played at the Nicholas Golf Club at Lionsgate.
Great course.
Wonderful course.
But what a great deal there. 11 o'clock, you eat lunch. Noon, shotgun start, $75, lunch in the 18 holes. And you're having a hell of a Monday.
There you go.
That's
Like
right.
it.
You got a case of the Mondays. You take care of it by calling the Nicholas Golf Club at Lionsgate and get on the course on Monday. You get lunch and the 18 holes, $75, 913-402-1001. Just tell them you heard it on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Timmy, I'll remind you that not only are we on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City, we are also on Wichita's all sports radio station, 92.3 FM ESPN Wichita.
Yes.
Tim Grunhard, soon to be, well, you're a Chiefs Hall of Famer now, but do you have any special message to all the Chiefs fans? That's part of Chiefs Kingdom and listening in Wichita right now.
Love my friends down in Wichita. Many, 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 many weekends down in Wichita at the... I forget the name of the high school, but there's a pool there, maybe Independent High School, I think is what it's called. They have this old pool. So anybody that is from Wichita knows about this old pool that I think was built from basically the old cinder blocks from leftover Pizza Huts. And you walk in and the ceiling is about 8 feet tall. And in the pool is just really, really long. It's a Olympic-sized pool with a very, very short ceiling, and it just gets hot and steamy and smells like chlorine from hell in that pool. Been there many, many times. Believe it or not, a lot of great memories going down to Wichita with my daughters. So, yeah, I love Wichita. Love it down there. So all my friends down there. Hey, by the way, the Bell Brothers. Hello, guys. Love you guys, my boys. They're down there. They're listening.
The Independent High School?
Yep, Independent High School.
All right, I see it.
There's a pool there. Can you see that little pool? They may not have the pool there because I think it's connected to the school, but it's owned by maybe the Park Districts or something down there.
But good memories of Wichita.
Good memories. Yes, many, many good memories. Many, many times at Brahms for burgers and ice cream after the swim meets.
So where are you headed after the show today?
I am headed to do a little workout, and then I have to play in a match at Wolf Creek today with my partner Keith Connell.
Oh.
And then I get in a car and I'm pulling a U-Haul to Cincinnati as my daughter Kaylee is moving to Cincinnati to work for a subsidiary of Kroger's called 8451 is the name of the company. And she is moving there. She's got a nice apartment there, and I'm going to miss her. It's going to be, this is, so you drop them off, in preschool when they're little, and then you drop them off when they go to kindergarten. And then high school,
Don't do this, I'm gonna cry.
you're glad to get them out for high school. I'll just tell you that because they're going to come back. But college is tough, and you know what I'm talking about because you're going to be dealing with it here pretty soon.
Stop it.
And then you drop them off for maybe good, which is even harder.
Then at some point they start dropping you off.
Yeah, hopefully they pick you up.
Right. Well,
right?
So are you taking Jake's advice? Because Jake says you can't be in Cincinnati for an hour without going to Skyline Chili. He says it's the best thing he's had anywhere.
Do not say that.
You know what?
What did you say about it?
I
That
have
stuff is
not
trash.
eaten. I have
He said
not.
it's trash, I guess.
know.
It's garbage.
But here's the thing.
Get a hot dog.
Everybody, to a man or woman, asked me, "Hey, you going to Cincinnati? Have you been to Skyline Chili?" And my answer has been no,
Yeah.
no.
Quit asking me
Just
about
go.
that trash.
But yeah, I have to go now just to say either it's really crappy or either you love it or you hate it.
Jake
is what
says
I
it's
prefer.
trash.
Nobody loves it. Nobody
Loves it.
Somebody's got to love it.
No.
Well, the place has been around forever, so somebody's got to be eating it.
That's what I keep telling him. Someone loves it. I mean,
No.
you can't say nobody likes it. This thing keeps going. Everyone talks about it.
So I saw.
They put it on spaghetti.
I saw something with
Mom's
MLB.
spaghetti.
The top 10 MLB foods, not for just all ballparks, and Skyline Chili is like 4.
Stupid. Just
What are
utterly
you so
stupid.
mad about Skyline Chili for? Can you explain this to me? Did you go there and
You
eat
don't,
it?
you don't like it on the pasta.
I went there and ate. But it's just like everybody like that's the same thing people would do when we go. Like I spent too many weekends in Cincinnati.
Dixon's Chili's better out in
By the
Independence,
way,
I can tell you that.
Weird city. They don't even sell booze downtown. But
What?
I bet that's changed. I think.
I don't know.
What are you talking about? They
There's
don't
a
sell
lot of
booze out
homeless,
there.
so they don't sell booze.
I don't
And
think that
you have to
we
go
need
across the
talk
river.
about this at all.
well,
to be honest with
yeah,
you.
you got to go to Kentucky. Anyways, so everybody on our crew at CBS would be like, "Oh, we gotta go try Skyline Chili. We gotta go try it." And like, okay,
And you went.
I went once, and I said, "This is disgusting."
What was
garbage."
disgusting about it? Be specific. They put a bunch of cheese
Like,
on
if I
there and the
want-
chili and pasta.
Okay, so if I want a bowl of chili, I'm gonna go have a nice bowl of chili.
Go out to Dixon's Chili.
So
Yeah.
is it
Independence.
chili not tasty?
It's not very good chili, and it's on spaghetti noodles.
That's what bothers you more than anything.
Well,
But
it's like,
what about the heaping of the
Hold on,
cheese?
you
on
like
top?
pasta,
I love
and you
pasta.
like chili,
Yes.
and you like cheese,
Yes.
but you don't like them all together.
No.
Okay.
It's garbage.
All right.
And it's like they think it's the best thing ever. You're like, hey, idiots, you're having spaghetti with chili sauce.
Will you please go there
Like,
and eat?
I want a nice marinara.
And so you could tell us.
or
'cause
even
I am going
a
to go
nice
there.
Alfredo.
But I don't eat pasta. That's the thing that I never eat pasta.
Go get a
That's
chili
way
dog
too many
there.
carbs for no reason. They have chili dogs there?
What about Garozzo?
like you go get chili dog. Like they don't talk about Skyline chili dogs though. They talk about Skyline chili. It's like stupid. Like I don't want.
I love chili dog.
Like give me some club crackers and some cheese and some good maybe some diced onions in my chili.
Yeah, now you're talking.
Like that's good chili. I'll eat that all day long. But don't put it.
Can
on
you order it
pasta.
without the pasta?
I don't like. That's a great question, but I don't think they will serve it to you without pasta. And it's like on these.
Then I don't like them either.
It's on like these styrofoam plates. And it's just like it's like get the f out of here with that.
And then you cut through the styrofoam, and,
Yeah,
and then the
it's just-
sauce
it's
is leaking
just-
on your
oh,
lap.
it's
and-
just brutal.
Take your
man.
daughter to get things started on the right foot in Cincinnati.
All right, I will.
See? And then text us. Let us know if Jake's
All
right or wrong.
I'll take a big picture.
Never mind.
and
You know
send it
what?
to
It's
Jake.
delicious. Go there, enjoy it. I bet it's the best chili you ever had in your life.
Yeah, I doubt it. I doubt it.
It's so good.
We have a safe trip there, all right?
All right, so okay, real
Try
quick.
Dude,
If
say
somebody
it.
comes to Kansas City and they say they want barbecue, where are you going to send them?
Ask them what they want.
Just the overall barbecue. I know that we have a lot of friends at barbecue, and you don't want to
I'm not saying
insult anybody. I always tell people my favorite barbecue in Kansas City, and I like all of them. I really do. I like LC's barbecue over there off of 47th Street.
LC's is really good, but LC's learned from the best. LC left Mr. Gate or Mr. Bryant's.
Yeah,
And
Bryant's. Yeah, you're
And
right.
see, and that's
And I learned
That's
that
why
from
you
my
don't.
dad.
That's why you don't like. I mean,
No,
you won't go to
we-
LC's to the Arthur's.
where did I grow up? Close to Arthur Bryant's, the original one.
Yeah.
And so that's where I would always go on Brooklyn Avenue. And
Yep.
so I encourage people to go there
Yeah.
because that's where it all
Okay.
started
That's where
for
I
me.
take people. I mean, that's
where
where
it all
my
started
old
for me.
man. That's tribute to my pops.
Yeah, but
And
you-
my dad and my grandparents,
Yeah.
and we'd go there like on a Friday. It was a big deal. So it's very nostalgic for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
but-
My
but-
old man used to work for Brinks, and he'd go pick up Mr. Bryant's payroll. Like
don't say the name. But is there any place in Kansas City that you go to a barbecue place you're gonna say that is horrible?
Skyline Chili.
I no, I don't
No,
think no.
no.
So you really can't go wrong.
my friend Eric White at Johnny's Barbecue. Fantastic
Listen, some are better than others, but it's still damn good barbecue. Basically,
You
wherever
can't
you
get
go.
bad barbecue.
No.
You know who made?
How may I help you?
You know what?
It's good
I used to
barbecue,
get
too.
great barbecue from Jake until he stopped eating meat.
Well.
And now he's a big jerk off. Everyone have a great day right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Bye-bye.